And thanks. Let's get to Judge Napolitano on this. Our senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano, was with us. Let's take this in chronological order. What the president said, it's hard to imagine any president backing legislation and then not saying that he does, and he hopes the Supreme Court doesn't overturn it. The unprecedented part was what was inaccurate.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Right. And the inaccurate part, and he's a very intelligent guy. He went to Harvard Law School and he taught at the University of Chicago Law School, so he was probably saying this for political consumption. The inaccurate part was that it would be unprecedented for federal judges or justices to overturn unconstitutional legislation. The inaccurate part was to suggest that because judges are unelected, they cannot interfere with legislation even if it's unconstitutional. But just as inappropriate, if I may, in my view.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about the judges themselves.
Okay, you have 3 federal judges sitting in Houston. In the middle of an oral argument, one of them says, you are from the government. Do you agree with what your boss said? Well, her boss is the President of the United States. He made a political statement 2,000 miles away. He didn't say it in the courtroom. It wasn't in a document filed in the case. Judges should stay out of politics. When they get involved in the political fray, they lose their credibility. That's one side of this. The other side of this is the president's statement was so profoundly erroneous. It struck a judicial nerve in people that really shouldn't have had their nerves struck.
I guess there's no way for any of us to decide or to make a definitive statement on whether the president was trying to sway the court's ruling, but it doesn't sound like that's the kind of thing Supreme Court justices are usually so malleable with.
I really don't think that Supreme Court justices would be swayed by political statements. They'll be swayed by the volume of materials they read. Shep, it's 2 piles, each 2 feet high. That's the volume of materials that have been submitted in this case. They're swayed by the arguments at oral argument. They're swayed by their values and their understanding of the Constitution, and they're swayed by history. They don't make rulings for today or for tomorrow. They make rulings that they want to make sense 10 and 20 and 100 years from now.
What's your sense of where this goes?
My sense is that Justice Kennedy was not engaged in a game, and that he truly expressed what he feels, and that he believes that this legislation has exceeded the authority the Constitution gave to Congress, and by a 5-4 vote, this legislation will be invalidated. That doesn't mean the president can't make some political hay out of it, but it does mean that his signature piece of legislation, if my prediction is correct, big if, will go down.